Think about this for a second. You're sitting in a room full of people. Everyone is talking, laughing, sharing things. And then there's that one person, quiet, still, almost invisible. They're not angry, they're not reacting, but something feels off. Now here's the truth most people miss. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means pain that couldn't find words. Meet him. He's the kind of person people describe as calm. He doesn't argue much. He doesn't complain. He doesn't explain himself either. At first, people like that about him. He's mature. He's easygoing. He's not dramatic. But they don't see what's happening inside. Because inside, it's not calm at all. One day, someone says something to him. It's small. Just a sentence. Maybe a joke. Maybe a careless comment. Everyone else moves on in seconds. But he doesn't. He smiles slightly, nods, and goes quiet. That's it. No reaction. No confrontation. Just silence. But what people don't realize is his mind didn't move on. It stayed there, replaying that moment again, and again, and again. Did they mean it like that? Was that disrespect? Should I say something? Or am I overthinking? And the more he thinks, the quieter he becomes. This is where it starts. Not with anger, not with shouting, but with silence, because some people were never taught how to express pain. They were taught something else instead. Stay quiet, don't make things worse. Don't be too sensitive, just ignore it. So they learn to feel everything, but say nothing, and over time, silence becomes their defense. Not because they're weak, but because they're protecting something. Their emotions, their dignity, their fear of being misunderstood. The truth is, they don't go quiet because they don't care. They go quiet because they care too much. Every word matters to them. Every tone, every expression, every small change. They notice everything. And that's exactly why it hurts deeper. So instead of reacting instantly, they pause, they analyze, they absorb, they carry it inside. And here's the dangerous part. The more they stay silent, the more people assume they're okay. No reaction. Must not be a big deal. But it is. It's just hidden. That quiet person. You see, they're not ignoring the situation. They're fighting a whole conversation in their head. A conversation no one else can hear. Sometimes, they want to speak. They really do. But then another thought stops them. What if I ruin the moment? What if they think I'm overreacting? What if it's not worth it? So they choose silence again. Not because it's easy, but because it feels safer. And slowly something changes. They start talking less, sharing less, opening up. Less. Not just with others, but even with the people they trust. Because every time they stayed silent, a part of them felt unheard, even if no one actually ignored them. This is how emotional distance begins, not with a fight, but with unspoken feelings. And the worst part, people only notice when it's too late. When that quiet person becomes even quieter. When their replies get shorter, their presence fades, their energy shifts. And then suddenly people ask, why are you acting different? Why are you so quiet these days? But by then, it's not just about one moment anymore. It's about everything they never said. Because silence doesn't erase pain. It stores it, layer by layer. Moment by moment. Until one day it becomes too heavy to carry. And that's the part no one sees. The quiet breaking point. The moment where silence is no longer protection. It becomes isolation. But here's the question most people never ask. Why do some people choose silence, even when it hurts them more? Because for them, speaking up doesn't feel like relief. It feels like risk. Risk of conflict, risk of rejection, risk of being misunderstood. So they stay quiet, even when their mind is loud, even when their heart is heavy, even when they wished someone would just notice, without them having to say a word. And maybe that's the saddest part. They're not asking for attention. They're hoping for understanding. But silence is something most people don't know how to read. At some point, silence stops being temporary. It becomes a habit. That same person who once used to smile more, talk a little more, open up just enough, he starts changing. Not suddenly, but slowly, almost. Unnoticeable. Their replies get shorter. Yeah, I'm fine. It's okay. Words that sound normal, but carry nothing inside them. Because by now, they've learned something important. Talking doesn't always lead to understanding. Sometimes it leads to being dismissed, ignored, or worse, misjudged. So instead of explaining how they feel, they start convincing themselves, it doesn't matter, I'll get over it, it's not a big deal, even when it is. This is how emotional suppression works. Not loud, not dramatic, just quiet denial. But here's the truth, what you suppress doesn't disappear. It stays. It builds. Every ignored feeling, every unspoken thought, Every moment they chose silence adds weight inside them. And eventually, that weight starts showing, not through words, but through behavior. They become distant. Not because they don't care anymore, but because caring started to hurt. They stop explaining themselves because they feel like no one really listens anyway. They stop reacting because reacting never changed anything before. And this is the moment people misunderstand them the most. They think they've changed. They don't care anymore. They've become cold. But the reality is they didn't become cold. They became tired. Tired of overthinking. Tired of feeling too much. Tired of holding things in. And most of all, tired of expecting people to understand something they never expressed out loud. Because deep down, they know the truth. You can't expect people to hear what you never said. But still, they stay quiet. Why? Because by now silence feels safer than disappointment. And then comes the breaking point. Not loud. Not explosive. But final. It's not one big moment. It's a collection of small ones. All the times they stayed silent, finally catching up to them. And something inside them shifts. They stop trying, not in life, but in certain connections, certain people, certain conversations. They no longer feel the need to explain. Or fix things, or even be understood, because they've already had those conversations. Just not out loud. In their head, they've said everything, felt everything, processed everything, and now they're done. This is why people get confused, because from the outside, it looks sudden, but from the inside, it's been building for a long time. That quiet person didn't just wake up and change. They slowly disconnected, one silent moment at a time. And here's the deeper psychology behind it. Some people are highly emotionally aware. They feel things deeply. They notice small changes. They think before they react. But when that emotional depth is combined with fear of conflict, it creates silence. They become observers of their own pain instead of expressors of it. And over time, this creates a gap. Between what they feel and what they show. That gap keeps growing until one day, no one really knows what's going on inside them anymore. Not even the people closest to them. And that's the cost of silence, not just being unheard, but being unknown. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Quiet people don't need loud attention. They don't need constant reassurance. They just need one thing, to feel safe enough to speak. Because when they do speak, they don't say things lightly. They don't express emotions casually. If they're opening up, it means it matters. And if they stop talking, it also means something. Silence is not empty. It's full of things that were never said. So the next time you notice someone getting quieter, don't assume they're okay. Don't assume they've lost interest. Try to understand what their silence might be hiding, because sometimes the people who say the least are the ones feeling the most. And sometimes all it takes is someone who notices, not the words, but the silence behind them.